Oh, okay. We have some thoughts about goals and about chaos. We are thinking about how the chaos affects our goals, but also, can our goals affect the chaos? Well, our goals will certainly affect how we react to the chaos. Does that make sense? So now, let's say that most of us have several goals. Some goals are more immediate than others. So then, as we wander through the chaos toward that distant glow on the horizon that is our greatest hopes and wants, then, chaos drops some ideas directly in front of us that might include, for example, an opportunity. Well then, if we are smart, then we will adjust our goals so that we can deal with the more immediate options and then go back to chasing that distant star, well, later. So anywho, our pretty little orphan girl, Fogdancer, wants to find out about her ancestors, but at the same time, she will have some other goals that she might deal with sooner. It really depends on what sort of chaos she will encounter. Well, in this video, we are brainstorming chaos that Fogdancer might have to deal with. We don't have to think too much about it. We just need some ideas that could distract an adolescent halfling. Okay. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome. We are Wild Art Fly Free and each week we build story bits. And, then, after we collect a few story bits, we put them together to form rough story ideas. And, ultimately, what we want to build is a fantasy world. That is, Opsipyadoc. Our fantasy world that is made out of stories. We have been doing this for a while and we have some plots and quite a few characters. Of course, we have some places where the stories can happen in. We call the places settings, but you probably know that, but it doesn't hurt to make sure. I hope. Anyway, we have been thinking that we should think up some bigger story ideas. We could use some general political or social ideas that will help tie our stories together. Am I making any sense? I think that, maybe what we want are some bigger stories that affect the smaller stories. Or, something like that. Anyway, we aren't sure how any of this is going to work out. We haven't done anything like this before and we certainly have never built a fantasy world out of stories before. But that's the point. Because, as we say near the start of all of our videos, we are Wild Art Fly Free and we are all about creativity. And, as we have said many times before as well, creativity is a path from chaos to perfection, knowing that perfection is fragile, temporary, impossible and prone to explode. Well, that's the key then, isn't it? We start with random chaos and then we try to make sense of it. We have lots of ideas and none of them are perfect, yet. So, we make mistakes. But then, from the mistakes we learn. That's our path to the explosive perfection that we seek. We play with ideas and we learn. We learn about ideas and we play. And, well, stuff like that. Anyway.
So we are making stories, and for us, we want our stories to be creative, and our definition for creativity is the path out of chaos toward perfection. And so obviously, if we have to come out of chaos to be creative, then we need some chaos. And now we're going to think about what sort of chaos can we leave. What sort of chaos can we provide for our young halfling uh, girl, an orphan girl named Fogdancer. Fogdancer, currently Fogdancer's story is mostly about learning to become a detective and trying to find out, right, who her parents were and what was their background when before she left the port city of Gurlad, which is the earliest part of her life that she can remember. Remember, she was raised by a halfling middle-aged man named Silvermoon, and she had a close friend, a gnome young adolescent man, boy, adolescent male named Golden Mane. Anyway, she was pulled away from Silvermoon and Golden Mane and her life in Gurlad by the evil villain Door-Enter, and eventually taken in by Alex and Dowig, her adoptive wealthy human parents. And now she wants to know more about her past. So that's kind of what her goals are. The chaos, well, what kind of ideas can we have? Usually we have chaos is just our idea soup. And what kind of things, ideas can we play with that might affect Fogdancer and her story? So we got an idea that common sense is known by common people. Educated people have uncommon sense. So, is that something that our girl might hear? Is it something she might guess at or come up with herself? Is she interested in becoming educated? She wants to go to Wiggleheart the Bard and learn more about, how to become a sort of a detective or that a reporter is. So that's kind of an education. So,
do you have any annoying habits that you just can't seem to shake? Well, don't we all? So, when is it an addiction and when is it just a habit? Or, could it be cultural? If all of the people who you look up to and who you want to be part of are doing it, of course you are going to do it too. That's what we were sort of wondering about. If we started doing it so that we could belong to a group, then later, it became a habit. So, we kept doing it, even after we had left that group. And now we are the only one who still does it. Maybe, deep down, part of us feels that, if we stop doing it, we will stop being the person who we are. It would be a betrayal to our existence. Sort of thing. So we really need to decide what and who we are talking about. What on Opsipidoc could we find that is mildly addictive and seriously habit-forming? Something to chew on? Something to roll around with our fingers? Maybe just a flower that we can sniff until it is all sniffed out? What do you think? Do you have any addictive habit-forming ideas that we can play with? So then, we also need someone who could have this noticeable habit. probably not one of our more prominent characters. We don't want to have to go back and rewrite a bunch of scenes to fit the habit in. Should we give it to our villain, door renter? Or, if we give it to a more positive and appealing character, we might be able to empathize with the struggles of fighting a mild addiction, or just giving in. So, if this habit has a cultural tie-in, then which culture will our character be? Goblins might be the obvious choice, but would that be too obvious? Some gnome communities might get up to some interesting pastimes. How about elves? We don't talk about elves enough. Should we find an elf who has an annoying habit? So, what do you think? What sort of habit can we play with and who should we give it to? Or, is this just not a good idea right now? What do you think? Please share. Thank you.
Okay. More ideas? We have goals versus objectives. Now, we've talked about this. Owl talks about this. She's quite serious about it. That goals are something that's light on the horizon, but they are not sharp or clear. They are just, give you a general sense of what direction to go in. Objectives are measurable. You know when you've achieved them, and so in that way they're more objective. So goals versus objectives, this idea, and is that in any way interesting to somebody like Fogdancer? Maybe it's a Wiggleheart idea. Okay, next idea that we can use as chaos for Fogdancer's story. People keep moving even when they have nothing to chase. So they run in circles looking for a job, right? So there are some people that are always active, and they will stay active even if they have nothing to do. So they end up just, busy with and like I say, in circles looking for a purpose. So how would that affect Fogdancer? I don't think that's Fogdancer herself, or maybe it is. She will certainly be a person that wants to stay busy. She's got so many goals to take care of, but perhaps she meets somebody else that is like that can't sit still, is always busy, but doesn't get anywhere because they don't have a goal or an objective. Maybe this all ties together. Anyway, some more ideas for us to play with.
Hello, we have been asking the question about why people might want to suddenly want to travel west. We know that most of the eastern part of Aldla include old and even ancient towns and cities. But, now we are thinking about people going west to start up new homes. Well, that leads to the obvious question. Why now? What has kept people from moving west before? Well, okay, this is fairly obviously a metaphor for when people traveled west to settle in western North America. And, well, hopefully it isn't too much on the nose, but anyway. We can watch for that as we go along. Anyway. we have been talking about an idea that we hope that you might help us flush out. What if someone has written a book that tells a wonderful story about some people who have gone west and their experience has been, well, awesome. And well, up to now, everyone was thinking that Western Aldla is a wasteland full of deserts and monsters and well, icky stuff. But, now, there is this book that tells you how to not only survive in the West, but be really happy doing it. Well, okay. We had that thought. Then, well, we were thinking some more about who might have written a book like that. And, well, since we are conspiracy-minded people, because of course, conspiracies make the best stories. So, now we are thinking that it would be the Jeepkrians who has been pushing the book. For those who are new with us, the Jeepkrians is a family who specialize in giving advice to the rich and powerful in the world. They are a large family who don't always agree, but they are still more loyal to the family than they are to the kings and empresses that they advise. Okay. Then, we need to think about why one of the Jeepkrians would be invested in people moving west. What sort of bigger plot are these guys perpetuating? But, also, this is just one idea. If you have other ideas about why lots of people would want to move to Western Aldla, please share. So now, what do you think?
Okay, another goal for Fogdancer. Dowig and Alex do not get along. What if they have a big fight? So yeah, this is an idea. I said goal, I think. Another idea. Dowig and Alex do not get along. What if they have a big fight about Fogdancer? That might certainly make the young woman think. That will cause chaos. And we are thinking about her goals, that one of her goals might be to be sure Dowig stays in her life. So anyway, I think one or two of us might have that story, bubbling around in their brains. So what do you think? Is there a story there? Or is this part of our bigger story? Fogdancer's relationship with her adoptive dad, Dowig, who is fighting with her adoptive mom, Alex. Okay, and another idea. The goblin named Tarfax will continue to work for Alex and Dowig, but for some reason he seems more loyal to Dowig than to Alex. He says that he feels an obligation to help Fogdancer, but Fogdancer is far more likely to stay with Alex than Dowig. So why would Tarfax, be so close to Dowig, so loyal to Dowig? Some ideas there. We just want to play with Tarfax as a person and the relationship with the group and, play with whatever mysteries he might be hiding. He may know some more stuff than he leads on about. We have some ideas about Tarfax, so see the links below. And maybe you can figure out what kind of secrets is that sly goblin hiding.
So sometimes chaos is built out of ideas. We have talked about how chaos isn't random. The good kind of chaos is built from multiple patterns. When we get patterns over top of other patterns, then we can't work out a pattern because the other patterns get in the way. Well, that's puzzles, isn't it? So do you think that we might try using this idea while we are building a story? If we have a story actually built from 2 or 3 stories all happening at the same time, would that make things interesting, or just confusing? So anywho. We have Fogdancer, who is a little orphan girl that is now growing up. Now she wants to learn about her own past so that she can figure out who she really is. And we have Wild Art Fly Free, who are trying to build Fogdancer's story, but who aren't really sure how to write stories. Well, that's creativity, isn't it? We keep finding chaos in our way, but of course, that's our own fault. We think that chaos is necessary for creativity. So please don't tell us that we are wrong about that. It's sort of what we have bet all of this on. No. We are committed to the plan at least until we are very sure that it doesn't work. But maybe it is working. We do have some interesting story ideas, we think. Anywho, let's keep going on with the plan. Do you have any interesting ideas that we can drop into Fogdancer's story? We don't promise that we will use your idea, but don't worry. We ignore many good ideas. Maybe your idea might sneak into the story at a later date. Maybe. So we are brainstorming, and with brainstorming, we try to collect as many wild and crazy ideas as we can. That's how we invite chaos. So if you want to learn more about Fogdancer, check for links in the description. If you want to learn how this story turns out, click on the subscribe and the like. You will know. And now, enjoy your day. And thank you for listening. We really hope to see you again later.